All right, so full time here, AFC Wimbledon 2, Fleetwood 2. And if you were to tell me before the game that it would have been a 2-2 by the end of this one, I would have been a little bit disappointed, right? Because, AFC Wimbledon, 7 points out of their last 15, and then Fleetwood are, 4 losses and 1 draw in their last 5 fixtures. I would have liked to have seen a win. A 2-2, a little bit disappointing, but yeah, also considering the fact that the first goal was very preventable. The first half from AFC Wimbledon was just kind of poor all around. Considering the circumstances of this game, with the first goal being completely sloppy, Ben Hennigan receiving a pass from Osu, a backwards pass around the midfield area, and then he turns around and tries to play Zanev with his right foot. It was Gardner who didn't actually get a touch on the ball, but he was able to challenge Hennigan, put him off balance a little bit, and the pass towards Zanev was a hospital ball, and Gardner was able to come away with it, takes a couple touches, and just slots it bottom corner. And that goal came after, it came in the first half, 50 minutes or so. The first half was not good from AFC Wimbledon. They didn't give the ball away cheaply, but they just weren't dangerous, man. The off-the-ball runs were lacking. They weren't very active off the ball, and they oftentimes engaged in empty possession, and when they did try to play a ball forward, it was usually from Hennigan and Chalka lumping the ball up. Ironically, not too many times they didn't play Ollie Palmer too frequently. You'd think that if you play a long ball, it would be to Ollie Palmer, maybe to knock it down. But a lot of the times, the long balls were towards Paul Osu to switch the play, or long balls over the top to McCormick or Sal, and the outside backs, Andrew and Johnson did a very good job of, and Holgate, the entire back line really of Fleetwood did a very good job of tracking the runs. Usually they're pretty sketchy defensively, but it's mainly on the set pieces. Every now and again they give away set piece goals. The second half is where things really started to turn, especially after that first goal from Fleetwood. They started to play a little sloppy, Fleetwood did, gave the ball away a couple of times. They kind of had a spell of 5 minutes where their first touches were really poor. And there was one instance in which Anthony Hartigan, actually, it was Callum Morton who was on the defense, kind of. He dropped back deep to help defensively, received the ball from the center back. Callum Morton's first touch was a little heavy. Anthony Hartigan was able to come away with that one. It was able to play. That was the second goal. Going forward a little bit. So the first goal, actually, was a ball played from Nesta Guinness-Walker. Ayubasau kind of flicked it back with the inside of his foot and flicked it, kind of got around his defender there. It was Callum Johnson on the defense that brought him down, or he didn't bring him down, he pulled him back. Surprised he didn't get a yellow for that one, considering that Ayubasau would have been through on goal. But the free kick was about 28 yards out, or maybe a little bit more, like 32. Ball was played in. Luke McCormick was a little bit behind him. He nodded it back towards Ayubasau, top of the 18. He was able to just slot it in far post from about the top of the 18 there, Ayubasau. So really good work from Asal to draw the foul there and to finish. Ayubasau was pretty good on the defensive end. Every now and again he made the off-the-ball runs. To be fair, he didn't get the service. He did get the service, but a lot of the times the through balls were played over the top and a little bit too heavy, and the outside back would come away with it. But he was very active off the ball. He was one of the only players in that first half that really tried the off-the-ball runs, and Jack Rodoni also kind of took it upon himself after the first 20-25 minutes to drop deep, because he realized that the long balls from AC Wimbledon were not working. So Jack Rodoni dropped deep a lot of times, played it square to McCormick, played it square to Osu out wide, and I think Jack Rodoni was fairly positive. Didn't have too many opportunities to really get him behind and take his defenders on 1v1, but I think he was good defensively. He was good on the press. He helped out defensively a lot, Jack Rodoni. And I think he was all around solid in terms of being box to box up and down the pitch. And then Alex Woodyard, of course, was box to box today as well. He wasn't as fiery and as feisty as the Portsmouth game, but he did pretty well on the defensive end. That second goal, again, after the first goal from Fleetwood, AFC Wimbledon then started taking it upon themselves to go on the attack a little bit more, and instead of playing it around the back line, engaging in empty possession, then playing the occasional long ball forward to Asal and to McCormick, that didn't work. Instead, they had Nessiginus Walker and Paul Osu on the attack a little bit more frequently, although that wasn't conducive to success at times because Nessiginus Walker got beat by Shaden Morris on that right hand side. But still, Nessiginus Walker was up on the attack a lot more on that second half and contributing to the play. Him and Jack Rodoni were connecting on a couple of overlaps. And on the second goal, I think it was Guinness Walker that was trying to... And he did play a couple good crosses in Guinness Walker. Unfortunately, Fleetwood won a lot of the headers, but there was an instance in which Guinness Walker came forward, tried to play a cross, and Fleetwood got the clearance away, I believe. Not the clearance, but they won the header, and then it was a pass from the center back or center mid intended for Callum Morton, and he got dispossessed by Anthony Hartigan, who was able to come away with it off the heavy first touch and play a nice through ball over to McCormick. Not a through ball per se, it was kind of to McCormick's feet, and then he took a really good first touch to his left, took another touch towards goal, blasted it bottom corner. Great finish from Luke McCormick. But then Fleetwood, after that second goal, they just kept pressing. They kept playing it to that right-hand side mainly. They almost every time, rinse and repeat, it would be the center mid, Matete or Batty winning possession, or, Fleetwood winning the header, and they would play it out wide to Callum Johnson almost every single time. Callum Johnson would play it forward to Shaden Morris almost every single time. And it was a really good battle between Morris and Nessiginus Walker. Sometimes Nessiginus Walker would win out in those exchanges by blocking the cross. But most of the time, Morris would either beat him for pace or he wouldn't allow himself to get dispossessed. He would try to take him on, but then he would play it down to the center to the likes of Batty or Matete. And I think Shaden Morris was really their bright spot. I think he played very, very well. And in fact, I have it noted in the 64th minute, Morris actually out-muscles Nessiginus Walker after a little ball over the top. He actually got his shoulder in the way, and Nessiginus Walker got out-shrugged there. And then he played a ball square to Gardner. Gardner tries to play a through ball to Morton, and he actually was able to out-muscle Osu. It wasn't a through ball, actually. It was a ball to the feet, and he was able to turn away on the hold-up and try to play a cross, but it was cleared away. But Nessiginus Walker and Paul Osu had a bit of a hard time out wide. Osu eventually got subbed out in the 60-something minute by Henry Lawrence, and McCormick got subbed by Chislett, who did pretty well, actually. As soon as Chislett came on, he was good connecting passes and receiving a return pass in the 87th minute. I mean, AFC and Wimbledon were playing one-touch football, Woodyard to Chislett back to Woodyard, first time square through ball, and then he spun out after that pass, and then he received the ball back from Woodyard and tried to play the cross, and it was a corner kick, I think. And so it was just a really good spell of possession there from Wimbledon. I think Chislett did well for the last 5 minutes. Presley won a couple of headers, but unfortunately it was just too little too late there. After the second goal, of course, I forgot to mention that one. It was a cross played in, really good cross there, headed away, and then Lane just played a cross back post one time, really, really good cross, just over the head of Jack Rodoni, and it was behind Chukka, who tried to get forward and try to get some header to it, even if it wasn't a full clearance, because Chukka wasn't in position initially to win the header. Tried to get his body in the way, get his header in the way, but couldn't get there in time, and it was just a really good cross and a good finish there from Gardner, who was able to head it down, I think, to the near post. So at Alex Woody 348, not sure why people aren't happy. I take 4 points from a possible six after the Portsmouth game, and at Alex Moss replies, against a team that has no manager and haven't won 8 games, ? I would have to side a little bit with Alex Moss here. I don't think we're in a completely precarious position per se. We're still 4 or 5 points ahead of the relegation zone right now, but it was a winnable game for sure. And I that's something I completely forgot about. Completely forgot to mention that managerless Fleetwood right now, and it could have been a win. Definitely a winnable game. And then at Easy Loving 1, time for our annual manager change. Get Robinson out. I don't think it's time for the Robbo out remarks yet. I still think that I'm a believer in Robinson long term. I just think that it wasn't necessarily the manager that was at fault for this particular game, at least. I just think that the players weren't active enough in the first half, and then they started to pick it up in that second half. It's a tough game to swallow, man. At Rich Lines, pretty poor overall, some bright moments, but not a lot to cheer about. Loose passes all game was disappointing. Bizarre to take Palmer off when we needed a goal. Did we need an extra midfielder? I don't think we had an extra midfielder in that instance. We just took Palmer off and had Presley on, and then we subbed McCormick off. I don't know, man. I do think getting Palmer off wasn't the best choice. I think having Aaron Presley come on as a striker could have been a better option to play alongside Palmer and play kind of like a 4-4-2. Ollie Palmer did well in terms of winning the knockdowns every once in a while, making a run to the outside, and actually one instance in which he played the cross into the box, and Luke McCormick almost got the header on that one. But other than that, we didn't really give the service too much to Ollie Palmer, so he wasn't too much of a factor. And yeah, I don't agree with the substitution either. I think Palmer should have stayed on. Maybe Presley come on for another midfielder instead of Ethan Chislett coming on. I don't know. At Brian Ma 442-44172. Instead of a restart coach, maybe a defensive coach. Instead of a substitution coach, maybe a forwards coach. 4 goals conceded at home against 4 teams is crap. Mark Robinson will make more excuses about young team, but come on. Is anyone still buying that crap? Hashtag new manager. Here we go. We're getting the Robbo out. Now we're starting to get the rift a little bit with the AFC community with Robbo in, Robbo out. I do think that Mark Robinson's style is becoming a little bit too predictable. I think not Robbo out yet. Like I said, I still have faith in Robinson long term, and I still think that his priority of youth over, we don't really have that much of a budget anyway, but, wasting that budget on 1 or 2 really star players. I do think prioritizing the youth long term is going to be good for us. It is a long term process. Think of the Philadelphia 76ers, right? They tanked for draft picks. If you guys are a fan of the NBA, they tanked for draft picks. In the end, they got Joel Embiid. They got Ben Simmons. That didn't work out in the end. But in my opinion, hashtag trust the process. Mark Robinson, even though his style of play has been figured out, I think the players will come together towards the end of the season, and I think they'll provide some results. Right now, it's looking a little bit bleak though, and I can understand where the frustration's coming from. That being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully the next game will be better, and up the Dons, baby.